SAP's main vision is to make the life of the people better. So when we talk about that how we have to make the life of the people better, and especially when we talk about how the softwares can help, then it takes the complete vision in a totally different direction. We all know how the digital transformation is coming. If you go back, and many of you may not be born in that era of early 90s, let me say it, when we, for the first time, started touching the computers. And this was the first thing that were coming into our homes. And it was a small disk that we were saving the data on. At the early 80s and early 90s, when we talk about that, who were the people who were leading the organizations and who were the ones who were the CEOs and MDs, if you go back and search on the internet, you will find that whoever has the best white and gray hair, they were the CEOs. This means who has the maximum experience of doing anything, they were on the top of the organizations. And what does experience mean? Experience means that they have a lot of knowledge, data, and information which was stored in their heads. And that was the experience that helped them in making overall the decision making for the organizations and for the individuals in a much faster way. Fast track it over 20 years, now the information and data is not anymore stored in the heads of the people. Fast forward again 20 years ago, now in 2020, you will find majority of the organizations have CEOs, MDs who are in their early 40s. Even your prime ministers are quite young at the age of late 30s and 40s. How come suddenly over the period of last 20-25 years, this whole dynamics have completely changed? This has only completely changed because the data is now available for everybody to make the right decisions. And that experience that was used to be in the heads of the people are there in the systems so that we can take the best use out of that one. That's where the ERP systems comes into the picture. When we talk about today's organizations and today's decision makers and today's leaders, they have to make the right decision at the right time. Both these dynamics are very important, and it's very important to understand that how they can link to each other. When we talk about today the data and the decision making, we need to have the right set of information. This means there should be no garbage. There should be exactly the right set of data. And the second important thing is that data should be available to the decision maker at the right time. Nobody makes a wrong decision, and nobody will ever make a wrong decision. It all depends on the circumstances and the input that has been provided to the person to make a decision. And that's exactly what ERP systems do. ERP systems have all the set of data information, and they run the organization in a direction that can help evolve in a certain way. Now, let me explain a little bit a further direction. If you go back again 20-30 years back, in order to run the systems, अगर आप लोगों को याद हो तो एक लफ्ज यूज होता है उर्दू में खाते लिखे जाते थे. This means there were old registers who used to have the data, and we used to put in the data in these old registers, and the Seth and the Malik will come over, see their data, and then say this much for production, I need this much of raw material that is required. If I have to increase my overall sales, I need to double the shifts. How can I get the resource management over here? All these things has to be linked together for a business to run at one place. Everybody wants to know what are the quality of people that are there in their teams, what are the typical requirements that are required for them to increase their skills, how fast can we get it, and if we have to change the mode of a certain organization, how we can transform them in a faster way. Another example is this pandemic of 2020. Trust me, nobody was ready for it. All the organizations were calling their people into offices, and the works were running from the offices. Here comes the pandemic in the late March, and everybody is back in their homes, and every business has to be run from their homes. You all have seen your parents, your brothers, sisters who are in the jobs, they are working from home. And how this was possible? This was all possible because the backbone and the data and the ERP systems and the digital transformation that we were talking about was there in these organizations so that it can help started working from home. Whenever we talk about the ERP system, we are talking about HR, we are talking about procurement, we are talking about the business blueprint, we are talking about how your business has to be run. So you need to first understand in a very clear way how the ERP systems are run. We go along and sit with the business owner, and we sit with each department separately, and we call it business blueprinting, where we talk about to them and understand them that how their business is run, which are the steps that are taken, which are the positions of the people that are there. These are our business consultants who go over there in these business houses, and then they start understanding how the business is run. I give you an example of steel industry. Let's take Aisha Steel, Amreli Steel. There are many other steel companies that are working on. All these steel companies provide the steel as your final product. But within these companies, the way of production and supply and demand is absolutely different. They have their own ways to work on this one. So when they come to us and they say that we need to use your SAP ERP system and you need to work around that one as well, I think one of the key things that we go along and tell them, guys, first tell us how you work, and then we tell them the best practices. Now, this is a very important understanding that you guys need to understand this specific point. Back in 90s, the software transformation or the digital transformation was that we used to go to the companies and the companies tell us, this is how we work. Kindly you make a software so that we don't have to change our way of working. Just everything has to be computerized. And they used to call it digital transformation. So what was happening? There was no change in the way of work that they were working. The only change was that instead of having these registered and the data scattered at all different places, it was being computerized. And they used to say digital transformation. That was the wrong way of interpreting digital transformation. As SAP or any big ERP companies, you name Oracle, IBM, Microsoft, SAP, you take any one of them. Well, now what they are doing is they go to the customers and tell them, these are our best practices. So we are working all across the world, for example, in manufacturing industry and going along in every part of the world, running the business for the manufacturing industries. We come back to our customers in Pakistan and tell them, hey, in all across the world, these are the 90% the way the manufacturing business is run. This is the way to produce. These are the specific ways, directions that you need to do to have your supply chain in control, to have your sales multiplied by 2. These are the things that the world is doing and they have the positive results. There will always be 10 to 20% customizations based on every country and based on every business ethics that we go around, based on the taxation that every country runs. So there will always be 10 to 20% of customization, but 80% of the software is the software that is standard and has to be used as the best practices all across the world. That's the change. Because previously we used to say, whatever you are asking, we will change over here. But now we are saying we will not change the software. The software will be 80% the same, only 10-20% will be adopted as per your needs. Now, this brings another angle of digital transformation. That is called change management. Now, guys, I tell you, in this whole digital transformation journey, the most easiest part is to build a software. Software is very easy to build out. We have all the experts. We have the people like you who can do the coding. The most difficult part is this change management, where you go into a running organization and you tell them that basically you have to change your way of working. Now, think about the psyche of the people. There are people who are working in these manufacturing units for 20 years, 25 years. They have adopted their way of working. They don't know anything else. When the software comes, they have an inherent resistance. They feel that, first of all, these softwares will come and take away their jobs. So if there is a certain action or job that has to be done by 10 people, when this software will become, they will be done by 2 people and 8 people will lose their jobs. So they inherently resist. They resist the way that the software has to be implemented. So this is the first way to tell them and explain them from their top management that we are going to enhance your skills. We are going to help you, adopt you to the new set of technology that we are working in. We want our resources to overall learn new things so that they can also grow and up the ladder as well. We need to protect these people who have this fearful overall thought process that softwares will come and this change management will come and digital transformation will come and everything will go back and their jobs will go away. First, you have to train them over there. The second thing is, again, go back to the history, the way we have been working. Previously speaking, before this digital and IT world, people were used to do the same task every day for whole their lives because there was no other way of doing it. And that task was important to be done by a certain human resource. Today, you have got new apps. Every second day, some new technology is coming in, and there's a whole new world that opens up. Today, the competition of business is not only with their respective rivals. For example, in the pharmaceutical industry, if you say that these pharma companies are competing with each other, there is much more competition that is coming from all over. Take another example over here. I think it's famous examples that you people also will be quoting in many of your presentations of Kodak and Nokia. Nokia mobile sets, they were ruling the world, more than 90% market share. They decided they are not going to use and go to the smartphone direction. And they said, we are too big for that. Apple, Samsung came in, and we see within the last 7 to 8 years, the whole market swapped. Nokia anymore doesn't make mobile sets anymore. Kodak, the old film, which was used to be set over there in the cameras, the digital cameras came in and the whole industries were wiped off. I myself, in my youth, used to have those big heavyweight VCRs, which had these video cassettes. They came in, and there were 8 or 10 shops in every market. And here come the wave of the IT over here. Those 10 shops translated into 2 CD shops. And today, we only do the download of the software. There are no shops to buy that one as well. Whole this thing of digital IT transformation brings a lot of opportunity. And as businesses, you need to be so much ready that where this new wave is coming, so that we should be adopting accordingly as well. You must have learned of this term, learn, unlearn, and learn. That's the new mantra as we speak. It's very important for us that because the technology is moving so fast, and every second day, some new steps is coming in. So it's very important for us to learn. And once that stage goes on, to unlearn, free our mind, and get something learning new. These are very important factors for us when we talk about a digital and IT transformation journey. ERP solutions are just overall a mantra or overall phenomena, a overall blueprint how the businesses are run. When you go out of your universities in a year or 2 years of time, you will see when you will go into the market, they will ask you, do you have an SAP certification? Do you know how the businesses are run? Do you know about the finance module? Do you know how the procurement module runs? Just think over. Government of Pakistan today, they run millions of pensioners. All these pensioners are run on ERP system of SAP. Taking an example today, you can imagine that there are so many people that retire every day. You have to keep track on them. You have to keep track of their medical bills. You have to make sure that monthly their payment is done to their online accounts. And God forbid, if someone passes away, it's important that the percentage of that money has to go to his family to a certain span of time. All these things need to be automated to have the right control, and the money should go to the right set of people. It's about accountability. It's about cost optimization. It's about how we can best use the software to the best of our ability to get the best output for the company, for the people, and for the people of Pakistan as well. We hold this responsibility. There are private sector and there are public sector. In the private sector, they talk about gross margins. They want to have more profits. They want the people to grow as well. In the public sector, it's belos khidmat. They have to provide all these things to the people of Pakistan so that they can run their lives easily. I still remember 8 to 10 years back, I don't know how many of you have seen those lines or not, that outside National Bank on between the 1st and 5th of each month, there were long lines of old retired people who were there standing outside the banks to get that online on their pensions. And they were waiting time by time, standing in that heat over there and waiting for the pensions to come in. In the next 2 years, the government of Pakistan made that digital pension, and there was no pensioners to stand anymore. The money was going directly to their accounts. That's the kind of service that we need to see, that how we can serve the people of Pakistan and how the public sector can help in serving all of us today. Today, with the click of the mouse, you have all the data. Whatever I'm saying, you can just run on your mobile. I give the examples. You can name the companies on your mobile, and you can go right away how much information and data that I'm saying is accurate, and how you can help more on those business cases that we are talking about. I think it's very important to understand the logic of the ERP systems that they are there. It's very important for you, wherever you will go out tomorrow and whichever industry and field that you will take, you will come across the ERP system. It can be an SAP ERP system, it can be Microsoft, it can be Oracle, but you will come across in your lives. Even today, in your individual capacity, you come across your ERP systems as well, personal ERP systems. I don't know any one of you have heard the names of Hisab Kitab. It's a small app that has been done by Jaffa Brothers, and it's a small ERP system of yours, because at times it's very difficult to track where the money is going, where you have spent last month, which are the areas where you want to control. And it's a small ERP system mobile on your app where you put every information when you are just sitting in, and it takes the trend analysis. It tells you where you spent the money last time. It tells you where you have to do what is your next expectation or your first, where you have to put that money in. And everything is being there, and you have the right set of data to make the right decision where you have to spend your money for your individual capacity as well. That's the basic. It starts from the very basic of your own, and then it expands to overall the organizations that we run in. Organizations are getting big. The Entrepreneurial Circle of Pakistan is getting big. We are talking about overall financial measures, and we are talking about overall financial numbers in every business that we go along. It's very important for us to make best use and best value of these systems that we go on. I just wanted to know is if there are any questions, or I can keep on continue on the discussion, or you want me to go along on any specific direction of business to discuss upon. So just wanted to check from the organizer, is there any kind of a direction or questions from the team?
I think you can finish and we will take the question in the end. Should be okay, I think.
Okay. So I will take 10 more minutes on that direction. So whenever we talk about transformation and digital and IT transformation, we need to first sit on with the business owner and discuss what is his vision about. Today, I give you an example. In the COVID times, SAP provides a software called Ariba. Now, this is a very interesting procurement software which connects all the suppliers across the world to the business users that we talk about. So let me explain it. When suddenly in the COVID times, when the peak was coming in May and June, suddenly there was a rush in the hospitals, and you must have seen in all the newspapers and news that there was no more beds available. There were no more ventilators available. Now, let me give you an example that how the software companies helped in that case. So we have a software called Ariba, and usually you have to pay for the license of this one. We made it open for Pakistan completely, and different hospitals were able to connect to the international suppliers of ventilators and the bed providers in somewhere in China, somewhere in Singapore, somewhere in Brazil. They were able to connect to each other, and based on that connection that they established, we were able to get the deliveries at the right time to the hospitals, and we were able to get the ventilators in time to save the lives of the people. Now, that's an example. At the very start, I told you that how we can make the life of the people better. Just making a software is not good enough, because that will just fulfill a commercial purpose. When you will connect a cause with that software, that is the one that makes it vision moving forward as well. Furthermore, there was another COVID times, another example. We used the software called Qualtrics. Now, Qualtrics is a software which you can send the surveys out to your if your organization, you can send it to all your employees, or if you are working in a university, you can set up your students which is the best way of communication, how you would like to start the education to run, and all these things input. And based on these surveys, we get the inputs, and then we design what is required to be there. And this is all done on a click of a mouse and in 1 day's notice there as well. We also are working in the COVID times in chatbots. I don't know how many of you know the software where they are now, if you go to any of the Jazz helpline and you go on these WhatsApp messages where all these different companies are asking for support functions, these are chatbot workings, because almost 60% of the questions are the same. These are automated computers answering your questions, even in the Roman Urdu that you work as well. So we worked with Aga Khan Hospital, we worked with other hospitals to bring the chatbots and helped in the COVID times to inform the people what are the precautions that are required to be done at the very start in the COVID times as well. These are all different peripherals of the digital and IT transformation that I am giving the example at this point of time. You also need to understand that when the businesses have done certain investments, it's very difficult for them to take that investments out. Because if they have invested millions of dollars, it's not possible that some other company comes in and says to them, hey, please, we have invested in something, but we are coming in new and you have to swap everything, and everything has to be done from the very start completely new, because the investment needs to be clarified where they are coming from. All these digital transformation modules now are bringing in with all the information which comes on top of ERP systems. I give you the example of the software name called SuccessFactors. If you will Google it out, you will find it yourself that Success Factors is one of the top HR solutions that we are talking today and implemented, which tells you onboarding, retention, how you can go along and check out that how the employees is feeling, how you can retain them for a longer period of time, what are the market norms that are being offered by other companies, and overall how you can make your employee happy. I gave the example of Ariba in terms of procurement, which helps this software all across the world to connect the suppliers, and the demand and supply can be generated and connected as well. One of the very important aspects of overall digital IT transformation and ERP systems is now the marketing solutions, the CX, the overall analytics that we talk about. Now, when we talk about analytics, it's a very interesting phenomenon. I think you guys already see that in your Facebooks and everything. You get all the advertisements which you personally like. If you are a cricket fan, you get the cricket fan. If you are a tennis fan, you start getting the input on the suits of tennis and everything. The computers and the softwares are getting smarter and smarter. Let me be honest, we can predict to the level of 82% how your next behavior will be. This is interesting and dangerous both. This tells you that how the predictive analysis is able to run through your overall needs and overall analysis and then get back to you through the social media system. And then we can offer you exactly the kind of solution or the product that you want. And this I'm talking about each individual, for example, sitting in your room will get a separate offer from HBL or overall for Safana, Sana and Safinas for the ladies. Everybody will get a specific offer depending on the type of needs and the colors that they go on. And that accuracy of overall analytics, which predictive analysis is increasing day by day. That's the kind of direction that business is taking. And these are the kind of solutions that run on top of ERP system that helps us to manage and predict business in the best possible way. I give you another example of mobile phones. You all carry that mobile phones today. You know, the mobile companies, based on your behavior of first 7 days, they can predict you based on our softwares, how much money you will give them on a monthly basis, how long you will remain on their network and you will change after that to the new network, or what are the offers that they have to give you just to make sure that they extend you for 3 more months or 6 more months. And all this is done to the accuracy of more than 80% with the data that is available for first 7 days. This is how the overall predictive analysis is working on top of the ERP systems that are present over there today. So that's what some of the examples that how ERP systems are helping the digital transformation world in every possible direction. Today in Pakistan, just to give you an example, I gave the example of government of Pakistan running on SAP ERP system, Angro, another big company of Pakistan running on ERP system, all the discos, Electres, Mapcos, Sepcos, ISCO, they all are running on SAP systems. I go to oil and gas sector, BICO, PSO, overall, they all are running on SAP systems. You go to the food chains of overall Halal Foods, Volca Foods, all these companies are running the latest ERP system to run their business. So it's very important for you guys to understand the importance of ERP system, because tomorrow when you will go into the market, either you will be a user of an ERP system or you will be overall a manager of running an ERP system. And it's important for you to understand this from the very start. So that's a little bit of preamble, half an hour talk telling you about on that front. I'm open to questions and then we can see how the discussion can move forward from that.
Okay, so before we take question from the audience, I would like to ask one question. That I was listening to one of your interview, and you were telling about yourself that you have been the position holder throughout your career in the board and the university as well, and you got the as a Sabqat as well. But you mentioned one thing, that if you would find time to go back, you would change something. So I want you to tell our student as well that bit of your interview. You got my point, what I'm asking about, right?
Yeah, sure.
Please.
So I have an interesting story. I belong from Lahore. I've done my government college Lahore and then going to University of Engineering Lahore. And I started my career way back with Siemens. And at that very point of time, when I started my career, I was running. I was where I was the board position holders in Metering and FSC from that example, and always getting to the top positions. So the family was very happy. But on the course of this one, I was always trying to be an individual, brilliant guy who always tried to hide the things from others, who always wanted to be first, who never wants to share what are my information set that I carry. And I was getting the position, and I thought that I'm the right guy and doing great because my results were showing that. But as I matured with time, frankly speaking, this is the era that I want to change back and go back and change that guy who was a very selfish guy who used to hide every information from his fellow students, who used to think that if that information is only with him, he will succeed in life. And that is the wrong approach that I used at that very point of time. I later on realized in my lifetime over there, it's very important to share the information. It's very important for your ecosystem, for your friends, for the people around you to be more accurate around and help them over there, because you cannot be an individual contributor and a brilliant guy unless your ecosystem, the people around you, they go above you as well or not. So it's very important, guys. We and even at the stage that you guys are, at times we think that the information is held, it can be held to a certain point of time, and we can take benefit out of that one. Disseminate the information. I'm running an organization today which is all across Pakistan, and one of the things that I tell proudly to the people and to the team today is that you ask any information set from me, or you ask the last guy who's newly hired within this organization, they have the same set of information. The only difference is the position handling on that front, that I have to manage certain stakeholders on that front. But the information is disseminated to the same level. So always try that, share the information, because the field that you are entering in, there's a lot of data. There's a lot of set of information today. Please remember, rather you don't know how to manage that data. I give you another example, interesting one. I attended a seminar almost 2 years ago in Dubai. And there was a very old guy coming from Teradata, who's the company who runs the data analytics overall. And they asked him that one of the questions came from the crowd. He said, my son is in the university, and I want to understand in which field he should do his further education, because after 10 years, what is the kind of jobs that will be there? Because this job market is changing so fast that we don't know that is our students equipped with that sense what is required in the market or not. And let me say very fairly that he said, guys, try to make them data scientists, because in the 10 years of time, we will have so much data and we don't know what to do with this data. And frankly, that stage has come today. We have so much data is available, but we are missing people who can analyze that data and then decide what are the next steps based on data to be taken to make some things better out there. So that's a little bit of preamble that he hinted about, and that I wanted to share. Gee, any questions from the crowd?
Questions आप में से जो भी करना चाहे वो प्लीज यहाँ आ जाए, क्योंकि थोड़ा सा साउंड सिस्टम का इशू है, तो यहाँ से आगे प्लीज मूव फॉरवर्ड. जो भी क्वेश्चन करना है, we have a very good opportunity to learn from the big name of Pakistan. वहीं से अगर आप खड़े होकर क्वेश्चन करना चाहें तो मैं आगे माइक पे ट्रांसफर करता हूं, अगर आपको यहाँ आने में कोई इशू हो रहा है. माइक के ऊपर होते हैं, माइक
किसी को करना क्वेश्चन तो बताइए, मैं माइक बता रहा हूँ.
I have a question. Actually, I am a lecturer over here, and I teach databases and operating systems as well for students. The concern that students show in database systems is that what should the field that they should adopt. Either they should go for a complete data science, or are there positions in that particular field also, and how they will compete in the market after the university, because we don't need data scientists, only data scientists in a company. So what are the key positions that they want to compete for after completing their education from the university?
Okay.
Regarding data science, databases, ERP.
Yeah.
So what technologies they should excel in after graduating from it?
Okay. So thank you for the question, and I think this is a question for everybody, and this is a connection that we talk about between the academia and the industry. जब मैं यूनिवर्सिटी में था तो हर चीज़ का थोड़ा थोड़ा सब कुछ पढ़ते थे और हमें नहीं पता होता था कि हमने इसमें से किस फील्ड के अंदर जाना है और बड़ा एक मुश्किल मरहला होता था. I still remember the first time, and I will answer your question with that example as well. The first time I was called for an interview in Siemens, and the first question that they asked me, and back in 1998, that do you know intelligent networks? Now, I have a 4 years engineering degree, and out of that 4 year engineering degree, somewhere like 40 to 42 subjects were covered. And the word intelligent networks was only 2 pages of one book in the final year of computer science. And that's here I am coming across on my first job in a multinational organization and talking about intelligent networks. And that 5 minutes of that question answer session will decide, am I good enough and am the worth about to do that job or not? Similarly, exactly. And I answered it and I was able to get through from that form. Today, when you talk about what kind of jobs and what kind of direction that has to be taken, I think overall, the data scientist is a good direction. Overall, the database that you talked about, we have a lot of database related projects and global projects within Pakistan also starting on. Related to database is a very important set of direction that you go along. There are also multiple projects that World Bank, IMFs of the world that's starting, which are for the digitalization. I don't know how many of you know the difference between digitization and digitalization. Both these words are very commonly used in our day-to-day language. The digitization is all about putting all the data into computers. So you, with a one click, you can get a report, you can get a data, you can get a financial report. But digitalization is all about that how you can use that data further and put more info and analytics on top of that and get the result out of that data as well. So today's jobs are more talking about where we are saying that the ERP outputs can be run and then how the business can be run better. अच्छा, मैं थोड़ा सा एक दो और चीजें सवाल के जवाब में बता दूं. If you are working for a private sector company, what they want? They want a young, agile guy who are more adaptable to the software or the overall the way these networks are working. He should be able or she should be able to analyze the data in the best possible way, and then he should be able to give some references and examples that how we can make the things better first to increase the business capacity or to save costs. जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर है ना उसको ग्रोथ चाहिए या कॉस्ट ऑप्टिमाइजेशन चाहिए टू मैनेज देयर ग्रॉस मार्जिन्स. सो दे आर लुकिंग फॉर पीपल हु कैन हेल्प इन एनालाइजिंग इट एंड मेक इट बेटर बाय बोथ वेज. अगर हम पब्लिक सेक्टर के अंदर जाएं तो पब्लिक सेक्टर के अंदर ऐसी जॉब्स चाहिए जो प्रोजेक्ट ओरिएंटेड होती हैं, जहां पर फंडिंग्स अवेलेबल होती हैं और जहां पर लोगों को एक लॉन्ग टर्म विजन चाहिए होता है कि हाउ विच डेटाबेस विच प्रोजेक्ट टू बी गेट इट इम्प्लीमेंटेड ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. So both these options in terms of database and data scientists, they are both the need of the hour as well. And I think a little bit also further आप लोगों को शायद वक्त के साथ ये भी डिसाइड करना होगा कि HR is the area, procurement is the area, digital and IT coding, hardcore coding is the area, whichever is your interest, that should be working and surfing for you guys as well. So all these options today, these days, there's a lot of requirement in the market, and I think every person can get and fit on what they want to do. Ji. If there's any other questions or otherwise I can wind up.
I think there's no more questions. So thank you very much, Saquib Ahmed. I really apologize for the waiting because of this little bit, communication gap.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, team. Thank you.